Welcome to Moments with Marianne. This is your host, Marianne Pastana. And we're here today with special guest, Carmen Turner-Schott, who's here to share with us her new book, Moon Signs, Houses, and Healing. Gain emotional strength and resilience through astrology. So does our moon signs really have influence over our lives? Well, today's guest is going to cover just that. So Carmen Turner-Schott is a practicing clinical social worker, psychotherapist, and astrologer with national and international clientele. She has worked with survivors of trauma and as an astrologer for over 25 years. The author of Sun Signs, Houses, and Healing, and her most recent book, Moon Signs, Houses, and Healing, which we're going to speak about today, has presented astrology workshops and e-groups for the Association of Research and Enlightenment. She's also the founder of Deep Soul Divers Astrology. So let's welcome to the show, Carmen Turner-Schott.
Hi, thanks for having me.
What an honor it is to have you here and to talk about this book. What was the inspiration behind this book?
Yes. Well, I love astrology, and I just feel like it's a powerful tool for self-awareness. And as a counselor and a social worker, I've always used astrology as a personality tool to help others understand themselves and their family, friends better. And so, what got me into writing these books? I wrote a sun signs book last year, and then this is kind of the companion guide to that because a lot of people know what their sun sign is, and that's based on your month and day of birth. But a lot of people have no idea that the moon sign is even more important and actually more powerful in our personality because it represents our emotional nature, our inner nature, and that how we show emotion, how we show love, where we find comfort, stability, and happiness. And I wanted to shed light on this important placement so people could connect to their moon sign and use those skills, to help them heal and transform and become more resilient. And so that's kind of what got me writing this moon signs book, part two.
So how long have you been interested in doing this type of work?
Yes, I started studying astrology when I was 16. And, I always felt a little different than others and had, spiritual experiences and dreams and just was very interested in different things. And I had some experiences that I could not explain. And I decided to start researching everything I could. My first book I got at a little mystical bookstore was called Astrology, a Cosmic Science by Isabel Hickey. And I remember reading all about my sign Virgo and my moon in Aries and feeling like that validated a lot of my experiences. And I just taught myself how to do charts. Back in those days, we didn't have the internet and all these great things. So I had to do charts by hand. And, we used to draw them and use rulers and everything. And did that for many years and taught myself all the basics. And then I was about 19 or 20. I started doing consultations for friends, family, through graduate school. I went to be a social worker. So a lot of people were interested and I'd meet them and just for fun practiced. And then I became my part-time business, in my early 20s. And I've always kept it as my great hobby and love. And even though I work in the normal, social work field, I work a lot with trauma survivors and have worked with children and runaway teens and a lot of different programs. But I love astrology and it's something that I love to write about and love to help people understand more. And I want people to know that it's a basic tool that can be used to help you gain self-awareness. And that's the key of it. There's so many people that shy away from it because they feel like it's too complex and it is. It's a language. It's its own language. It's a lot of symbols and all of this, but anyone can learn it. And so in my books, I have a whole introduction that goes over all the basics. So anyone in your life can pick up that book and read it and understand what it's saying. It's not going to be complex. It's not going to confuse them. It's going to be very basic. And that's why I wrote both of these books, Sun Signs and Moon Signs. So to open up people to wanting to learn more and know that they can learn astrology too, the basics, and they can use that energy in their life to help themselves and others. And that's what astrology is. It's energy, just like everything is.
In the introduction, you do start off with self-care. So how is self-care a part of all this?
Yes. So, in the helping professions, and in life, I just find that a lot of people are really good at sacrificing themselves to help other people, and they give, and then they get depleted, and they may even struggle health issues because they don't take the time to really nurture and take care of their own self, their own health, their emotions, their life, or heal their own things, right? We often talk about people that are wounded healers, and those are people that have went through really hard life experiences, and they use that to serve others and help other people, but they really never really took care of their own stuff, if that makes sense. So I started asking, these professionals and very successful people that I was meeting, that own businesses and all these things, what do you do for self-care? And most of them could not answer me. They said, I don't do self-care. And so I started researching this, and I kind of wanted to bring it into my astrology books to help people. And I started looking at each sun sign, each moon sign, and what their personality traits were, what their strengths were, what their weaknesses were, some of their basic energy. And I wanted to tap into how will a Aries self-care, how will a Taurus self-care, how will a Cancer self-care, right? And how is that different for each of those signs? And it is very different. And so I wanted to give really basic tips just to remind people, number one, that we all need to do self-care. And I find it, I joke that, there needs to be I want to write a book called, Self-Care for the Stubborn Soul, because I think a lot of us are just stubborn. We know all of these wonderful tools, and we know these spiritual techniques and things that can help us, but we don't always apply them in our life. We tell other people, we teach others, but then we don't really implement it in our own self-care plan, right? So that's kind of why I added that to both books, so people could start thinking about that. Wow, maybe I do need to do things to take care of me, and also to show that not every sun sign or moon sign is going to self-care in the same way. No two people are exactly alike, and I teach self-care workshops for social workers and victim advocates, but everyone's always like, oh, it's so hard to do, and we hear this, but we have to start doing it, and so people often aren't finding the right things that actually help them self-care, because self-care is not going to be meditation for everyone. It's not going to be sitting in silence and stilling your mind. That can be really hard for some signs, especially the air and the fire signs, right? So I try to highlight that in the book, based on people's element, fire, air, earth, or water, how those elements and those signs self-care in a very different way and are going to benefit from different activities. So that's kind of why I got focus on that in the book.
Well, it's interesting to hear how the different signs will do self-care. So you talked about how fire and water, kind of being in that, or I think you said fire and air, excuse me, can be in that, being in that meditative space is probably not a big fit for them. But so what would be a fit for them then?
Yes, the fire, especially the fire signs, Aries, Sag, and Leo, they need to have excitement. They like movement, they like activity, they like action, which, and sometimes you would think, well, that's the opposite of self-care, because most people think self-care means that you're just relaxing, right? Meditating with some, Yanni or Enya, but no, they like to get out and maybe outdoors, play a sport, go see friends, and be more social. you know Interacting with people can actually help them feel better, right? And so they're a little different than normal self-care. And those fire signs, they like to be doing things. It's hard for them to sit still, and really, to meditate might be harder for them than the water and earth signs that can, really withdraw into themselves more. And then those air signs are thinkers. Air signs are always in their mind, and they're always thinking, and their mind is so active, it's hard to still their mind. And a lot of these self-care books and things you get say, well, do deep breathing, stop your thoughts. Well, that's hard for them because their body starts itching and they just can't meditate. They tell me I can't do it. And so I'm like, well, what helps you feel better? I like to talk to people. Okay, do you like to write? So writing, journaling, maybe reading a book, something that stimulates their mind can be a self-care tip for those air signs. and those fire signs. So that's kind of what I focus on for them. And then the classic water signs, Pisces, Scorpio, and Cancer, they're naturally more in tune to the normal traditional self-care techniques because they like their alone time. They like to spend time alone. They like to withdraw from the world and be in their house and listen to music and be peaceful and do art or things they love and be kind of alone and breathe and all those meditation, all those things, yoga, are kind of easier for them. And the same for the earth signs. They can really ground and become stable and ground themselves easily, and they like to be in nature. They like their doing things in the garden, feeling the earth beneath their feet, and really doing breathing exercises, connecting to the nature and things like that can help them self-care. But those fire and air signs, they like more action and they like to be thinking and doing something. So that's kind of how I explain it.
Well, thank you for taking the time to go through that because I know the subtitle of your book is Gain Emotional Strength and Resilience Through Astrology. And it's interesting because I think a lot of times when people think of astrology, they don't think of these two worlds colliding.
Yeah, they really don't. It's amazing because the reason I have a passion for it is just that I've seen how much astrology, knowing my chart, knowing the basics has helped me tap into my strengths and to use them in difficult situations, whether it's the loss of a loved one or some type of a crisis, an unexpected event. I've seen this in everyone I've worked with, whether it's clients, friends, family, loved ones, coworkers. I see that they all have these strengths and these emotional strengths, and they can tap into them. And no two people are exactly alike. And so in the book, I really did a lot of research on this, that the moon sign specifically is where we have that passion and drive and that inner fighter, so to speak, to overcome hard things, whether that's the loss, accidental death of a loved one, somebody, we have a car accident, we have an injury, our family needs us, our parents need us, we're taking care of our family, all these things. Each moon sign may go through all those things, but each moon sign's going to be able to handle it a little differently. And some might have more trouble overcoming change and loss than others. And so I give tips on, what each moon sign can do to be emotionally strong. Tips like letting go of the past, forgiving others, having set goals and focusing on the future, right? Trusting people, being more vulnerable. All of these things are specific to each of the moon signs, and I give those tips to them. And then with resilience, I've always been really interested in resiliency, and it's like the ability for something to bend, but it doesn't break. And that's kind of the definition. And what that means is that no matter how hard life gets, and I've met a lot of people that have been through very traumatic experiences, and they come out so they're strong, they're amazing. And a lot of people would never know that they had gone through the things that they had gone through in their life because they don't openly share, but they're just very strong, and they've healed themselves and they've overcome a lot of things, and they don't dwell in the negativity of it, right? They're positive. And that to me is resilience. You may go through things and it forever is going to change you, but it makes you stronger. And that's what I feel astrology can do, can really help you see the good in people and the good in yourself and your strengths. And it helps you understand others. Okay, I might not really get along with someone. I may feel like they don't like me instantly. A lot of times that's because of the astrology charts. There's something in there, the energy that you're just kind of different. And once you kind of know, okay, I'm driving them nuts because I'm a Virgo sun and they're a Leo, and I'm trying to, control everything and picking up all the things that are wrong in the document, and they don't see it, right? Because they're just wanting to get it done and brief it. We start seeing that's why we're different, but this makes us able to help each other. When I look at people, when I know their chart, I'm like, I know their strengths, whether it's at work or wherever. And I'm like, okay, I know this person has a great public speaking ability. They love to be up on stage. They might be a Leo sun, Leo moon. They shine. They need praise. They need someone to tell them they're doing a good job. They need to be respected, right? And they like to be on stage, where someone that's like a Virgo might be shy and they might want to be more behind the scenes, or they want to train on a Zoom call. They don't want to be in front of a lot of people, right? And so I use all of my knowledge of this in my everyday life. Like I live this, and I have since I was 19. And when everywhere I've, been in my life, people know that I am into astrology, because it comes up at some point when I ask them, when's your birthday? I always want to know when someone's birthday is. And a lot of times they're interested, or they get interested by being around me, and I'll tell them, well, there's a full moon or Mercury's retrograde, and all these things. And they start noticing the things I told them are happening, right, in their own life. And so I use it to plant seeds, is how I say it, just to plant those seeds of opening people's minds up that there's so much more to the world and to healing and to counseling than just traditional counseling. Astrology to me is a psychological tool, and that's what I am, a psychological astrologer. And I use it, not to, be predicting any bad events or nothing like that. I use it as a tool to explain people's personalities on a deeper level and how they can use their strengths and what careers are best for them, what relationships would fulfill them, focusing on all of those deeper, transformative kind of counseling issues, but using the map of their soul, which is your birth chart. I call it the map of the soul as the compass to kind of guide them. And so that's what I do.
Well, on that note, we're going to pause here for a quick break. We've been speaking with Carmen Turner-Schott in regards to her new book, Moon Signs, Houses, and Healing. Gain emotional strength and resilience through astrology. We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors.
Are you a coffee lover who wants to make a difference? Look no further than Fire Department Coffee, a veteran-owned business that gives back to support first responders in need. Each batch of coffee is freshly roasted right here in the USA by a dedicated team of first responders and coffee experts. So when you enjoy a cup of Fire Department coffee, you're not only drinking high-quality coffee, you're supporting members of your community. Start your day with a coffee that gives back. Visit firedepartmentcoffee.com. That's fire, DEPT, coffee.com.
Are you looking to untangle life's riddles? Discover the profound teachings of Dr. Shai Tabali, renowned philosopher, best-selling author, and your guide to self-empowerment. With methods that harmonize psychological and spiritual principles, Dr. Tabali's wisdom offers a pathway to holistic transformation. Take that first step today and join thousands globally and embrace the journey to higher consciousness. Visit shaitabali.com, that's SHAITUBALI.com now.
Are you chasing profitability yet losing fulfillment? Let me introduce you to your solution, The Relaunch Company. I'm Hillary DeCesar, an entrepreneurial performance coach, fearless leader of The Relaunch Company, here to help put the pedal to the metal and relaunch your business your way. Visit www.therelaunch.com. Take the free quiz to learn 3 steps towards waving goodbye to burnout and hello to success.
The book Terminal Cancer is a Misdiagnosis, authored by Danny Carroll, is on sale at Amazon now. Licensed psychologist and psychotherapist Tessa Antia-John-Guerra commented, "This is one of the most empowering books on the topic of cancer you will ever read." Award-winning author T.L. Needham commented, "This recommended book can be understood by anyone seeking answers, hope, and alternatives to a terminal diagnosis. Buy it now on Amazon.com.
Pandemonium. Fast forward 20 years. A U.S. president seizes control of all U.S. missiles, the power grid, the banking system, and every computer in America as he hides in an underground bunker. Pandemonium, a captivating sci-fi thriller where a hidden war, psychics, aliens, artificial intelligence, and transcendental love collide with the latest media technology. Pandemonium, live to all devices. Get your copy on paperback or digital. Free sample at getpsychic.org.
Hello, Dr. Cutler here. Do you experience bloating, heartburn, food craving, bowel irregularity, food sensitivities, weight issues? If you do not digest your food, you may be deficient in macronutrients, which your body needs for optimal health. DrEllenCutler.com teaches that this is an enzyme deficiency. I believe the most important supplement is a full spectrum digestive enzyme, Dr. Ellen's Way Digestive Enzymes. Hear more about it at drellencutler.com.
Internationally recognized and award-winning author Judy Goodman works and teaches outside the box of limited thinking. Working with people from every walk of life, her goal is to empower you to be the best you can be, no matter what the challenge is. Born with the gift of seeing beyond our normal vision, she has an extraordinary gift of working with every challenge. Teaching beyond conventional wisdom, her work is described as life-changing. Visit judygoodman.com. That's judygoodman.com.
I'd like to thank Jason Eastwood at Guitarfulness for sharing his inspiring music and talent with us. His music is known worldwide for cultivating atmospheres of harmony, inner peace, and clarity. Visit Jason's website at guitarfulness.com. Join his newsletter, be part of his community, and download his music. Welcome back to Moments with Marianne. We're here today with our special guest, Carmen Turner-Schott, who's sharing her new book with us, Moon Signs, Houses, and Healing. Gain emotional strength and resilience through astrology. So Carmen, let's say someone has no idea what their moon sign is. How do they go through the process of discovering that?
Sure. So there's many ways now with the internet. So online, there's moon calculators. Moon calculator, calculate my moon sign. I mean, you can Google, and what it does is it's pretty easy to figure out your moon sign if you don't have your time of birth. The time of birth is so important to really know where everything is in the sky when you're born, right? Because we take a picture of the sky when you're born, in the place, date, time, everything, year, put it on a piece of paper, and it looks like a wheel with all these symbols. And so what we do is the sun, we know that everybody born on August 26th is going to be a Virgo sun. That means the sun was in the constellation of Virgo for everybody born on that day. But the year and the place, the country, and then the time can change a lot because the moon sign moves through each of the 12 zodiac signs every 2 to 3 days. So it's a very fast moving planet. And so we know that, we'll know if the moon is in, Taurus, it could be on the cusp, getting ready to go into the sign Gemini, right? The moon could be. To really know on that day and time if the moon is really in Taurus, we need the time of birth to be very specific. But for the most part, you kind of can guess, okay, I was born on this day and year, put it in the calculator, or go to astro.com. You can do a free birth chart there. You can also get a free birth chart on my website, carmenturnerschott.com. I send a nice little email and report to people that fill out the thing on my website. And I can tell everyone where their moon is, what sign it's in, and all the basics. And I have a report that kind of goes over it. But anyone can kind of know. And in my book, I explain how to find out your moon sign. That's all in the introduction. And it's important because even twins can be born, maybe 4 or 5 hours apart or even longer. And sometimes their emotional nature is completely different. And that's because the moon moved into the next sign. So one twin might be a Taurus moon and the other twin is a Gemini moon. Very different personality emotionally, right? And so we can see that. So, and there's different calculators. I have a calendar that I can look at right now. And every day I can see what sign the moon is in. It'll tell me what time it goes into the next sign, right? And it is pretty quick. It's 2 to 3 days. So it's important to know your exact time. But the good thing is you don't have to have an exact time. You can have like a time frame between 2 and 4, and we can still see, okay, the moon was still in Taurus or Capricorn during that time. That's your moon sign. So now when it comes to the whole chart and all of the other planets, we really need your birth day, month, year, exact time, AM or PM, in city, state, country of birth to really get an accurate birth chart. But that's kind of the basics there.
I've heard of people saying that we're probably born a couple minutes before it's actually listed as on our date of birth. Is that something we take in consideration, or do we just go with what has been listed?
Yeah, a lot of people ask me that, and sometimes there is no time on the birth certificate whatsoever, or they'll find it in a baby book, and I always say go with what's written down, but if you can go with your parents, what they told you is probably the most accurate. And because 5 to 10 minutes isn't going to change things crazy, but it could make a difference. But I always tell people this, and this is something really, really amazing about astrology, is when you don't know what time you're born, astrologers can still get a pretty accurate chart for you. And I've done it for people that they have no idea when they're born. And what I need to do is I need to see a photo of them or meet them in person, because if you can find out what someone's rising sign is, this is how people perceive you when they first meet you, how you physically look, how your energy portrays to the world. When your first impression of someone is typically their rising sign. So if we're able to really kind of nail down different times, if they know their date and year and place, but they don't know the time, we can kind of nail it down. And if it doesn't resonate with the person and it doesn't feel right, then I know I don't have the right birth chart for that person. Because when I do a chart, it completely validates what they already know about themselves. So if they tell me, Carmen, this feels off, that means I don't have the accurate rising sign for them yet, and we're going to keep trying, especially when we don't have a time. And I've nailed it down where I'm like, I really think you are a Leo rising. Or sometimes I'll know, you are a Scorpio rising. And then when I start analyzing the chart, they're like, yes, that's me. And there's things that I can tell them about to see if that was what they experienced, to really know if I figured out a good chart. And then a lot of astrologers, they just use 12 noon. If you look on a celebrity, astro.com and different things that has celebrity charts, a lot of times they don't know the time of the celebrity's birth. So you'll see it'll say 12 p.m. That's what they typically use to get, just a basic chart, because everything's going to be in the same sign. The planets are going to be in the certain signs on that day and year and everything, but the houses will be off. The areas of life will be off. The placement of everything will be off without an accurate time. But we can know the moon is in this sign, or Mercury's in this sign, or, Pluto's in this sign, but we won't be able to show how that energy plays out in each area of that person's life if we don't have an accurate time. And so that's kind of how I explain it.
So, putting your book together this way on moon signs and houses, is that something that is a little bit more digestible for people?
Yeah, it's very easy to understand when you read the basic, sun sign and moon sign book, because it really does help kind of get the person to know, oh, okay, I can do this. I can look these things up. This is the symbol for the moon. Okay, that's what that is. And they can really start, teaching themselves. And it's amazing now, they can Google, once they even know, they can read their chapter in my book, but they can also look up their friends and family. And then they can always Google to find out more about their moon sign. And then they can start saying, okay, my moon is opposite of my sun sign. What does that mean? And they can really start, researching and learning the basics. And that's what I recommend to people, because so many people are like, I'm overwhelmed. It's so much. And it is. And that's why I try to bring it back to the basics. Just, the sun, let's start with the sun sign, which is your main identity. It's how people see you. It's how you relate to the world. And then let's start with your moon sign, which is your emotional nature, how you love, how you find happiness, how you find comfort, stability, security, all of those things. And so learn those two first, and then you can start branching into what is my rising sign, the sign coming on that wheel when you're born. What is my north node, south node, getting into more of the in-depth things. And I always start, let's do the basics first, and then just keep branching out to learning more and more. And that's the thing I love about astrology, Marianne, is that you can spend your whole lifetime still learning something. I mean, I've been studying this since I was 16. I'm 47 years old now, and I still am learning things. I'm still just amazed, like all the things I still can learn, because there's so many different things in astrology. There's medical astrology, there's relocation astrology, where's the best for you to live, for your career, for your work, because everything's energy. Astrology is energy. And there's all these different charts. There's a solar return, which we call your birthday chart. And it kind of shows what's going to happen to you that 1 year, right? So there's all these things. And so I always try to write in a very basic way so I don't scare people off, from wanting to learn. And I like to teach workshops and basics classes as well for people that don't know anything about it. That's my favorite is to do charts for people that have never had one done. Because once they see how accurate it is, it really opens up their mind that, wow, this is something special about this. And this really helped me. And that's what gets people interested,
Where can our listeners connect with you and learn more about your work, Carmen, and be part of your community?
Yes, you can follow me on, I'm on Facebook, Carmen Turner-Schott author, and then Deep Soul Divers Astrology on Facebook. Would love for you to follow and like my page. And I have a YouTube channel, Carmen Turner-Schott. And it's my handle, SCHOTT. And then my website is www.carmenturnerschott.com. And I'm on Instagram a bit, but I'm mostly on Facebook and YouTube. And I have some Facebook groups as well, astrology groups that I'm an admin of since Facebook started. And I have people from all over the world in there, 15,000 people in my groups. And we learn and people post and we share knowledge and it's free, so would love for people to find my groups. You can find them on my website to join and find out more about the community that I have on Facebook. And I appreciate you talking to me today about astrology. And I do believe it can help people heal, transform, and become more resilient.
Well, Carmen, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Carmen. It's been such an honor to spend this time with you and to talk about your new book, Moon Signs, Houses, and Healing. Gain emotional strength and resilience through astrology. Moon Signs, Houses, and Healing is available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and all indie retailers. And remember, support our indie bookstores. You can also purchase this book directly from the publisher, Llewellyn, at llewellyn.com. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. You've been listening to Moments with Marianne, where we make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary. A recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.